But there's real wine connoisseurs.
Oh, wine is incredible.
Wine is a different animal.
Wine's incredible.
The flavor of wine is spectacular. It's the most delicious of all alcohols without being sweet.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, it's a different thing. Like the people that say they're tequila connoisseurs, like, shut up. It all tastes like shit. Some of it just tastes less like shit. The great tequila tastes
alcohol.
less shitty.
It's alcohol.
Yeah.
And it's like, then there's some flavor around the alcohol.
Yeah, I drink a glass of wine with a steak, and it's like, oh, this wine's fucking great.
I totally agree.
And it puts you in like a calm. It relaxes me. You don't like want to go drive fucking wild and get crazy and get in a fight when you're drinking wine.
Exactly. And the amazing thing about wine is you can go on these journeys where, like, when I first started to buy wine, I did what every knucklehead does, which is like, oh, if it's expensive, it must be good.
Right.
And you start down that road, and it's just so dumb because the amount of money that I spent on stuff that was marginal, but it had a good label and it had a good pedigree. And then when you discover and you learn, like I remember, like, my wife's Italian, so we spent a lot of time in Italy in the summer with our kids. And when we were there, you find these incredible Italian white Chardonnays, okay? In the summer, I'm just going to be honest with you, there is nothing better to drink in the world. It's better than water. If you were like,
it's
cold, it's refreshing, it's got a great bouquet. But these bottles are 40, 50, 60, 80, maybe maximum 100 euros, max. And then you'll spend $1,000 on some stupid white Burgundy from France, and it tastes like half of it. You know, the other great example of this is like Chateau Petrus. And, you know, I don't want to get in trouble with the Chateau Petrus guys, but I'll just be honest. Those bottles cost, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000. You see some in restaurants, 19,000. I've never bought one. I've tasted it once because in Vegas I had a host, and once he gave me a thing. He says, Chamath, you can use this for, you know, like your dinner. And I'm like, well, is there a cap? You know, and he's like, this time, no cap. And first I was like, God, I must have lost a lot of money the last time. when they say no cap
for $19,000 wine.
So then I said, fuck it, I'm just going to try this. So I went to Caesars, and it was like $4,000 or $5,000. I mean, I would never buy this in a norm, but I got it because it was free. Joe's okay. All this buildup in my mind. This is, oh my God, this is going to be ethereal. It's going to be ambrosia. It was not ambrosia.
Yeah.
Whereas you can find these other ones that are made by, you know, folks that just put their entire lives into it. You taste the whole story. I just think it's incredible.
But it's a weird status thing, the expensive wine. It's just like Cuban cigars.
It's really dumb.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
The real skill is being able to know price value. And when you know it, it's so satisfying because it's like, oh, this is just delicious. And then when your friends enjoy it, they're like, oh my God, this is delicious. And I'm like, yeah, that's $80.
Yeah.
But how? And I'm like, well, it's very hard to find. So then the skill is like, it's funny, I'll tell you, this is how bad wine has gotten for me. Meaning, like, I love the story. I love the people. I want to support the industry. So I went and I registered for an alcohol license at the APC in California.
Really?
Because I was tired and frustrated of trying to buy retail. Because you have to go through folks that have their own point of view. And I was like, well, if we just become, you know, we as in like me and a friend of mine. And so we set up a thing. We set up a little LLC. I went and I filed the paperwork. And it's called, like, you know, CJ Wine LLC, you know, my friend, me and Joshua. And we're able to negotiate directly with the wineries.
Oh.
And we're able to get it from wholesalers in Europe or in South Africa or in Australia. And it just allows us to buy a bottle, try it if we really like it. Thursday nights at my house is always poker. We serve it to our friends. They like it. Then we can buy a couple cases. I can share with my friends, and, you know, you get it at wholesale. It's a great little hack.
Is there a limitation? Like, is there a certain specific amount that you have to buy?
I look like a retail store. It could be like
crazy.
Amazon, you know?
And so retail store could just buy a few bottles?
They could buy a case. They could buy a few bottles from. That's a little bit harder. So you have to have a more personal relationship. But then the really good stuff, you can buy a few cases and then, you know, pass them on to your friends. And I don't know. It's. I think wine's incredible. And with food.